All right, today on No Putts Given, episode 8, we've got the 3M Championship. We've got Sam, it's a hole-in-one, and a major eye-opener in the golf ball business if you haven't seen it yet. Let's get it. All right, so before we get started, I want to ask everybody out there that listens to our podcast to please go out and rate and review the podcast. We've been getting a lot of feedback from a lot of people, right?
Yeah. Testers as well.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. People come in and seem to listen to the podcast maybe more than they read our website at this point. But anyway, we'd love to get your feedback. We are actually listening and adding some of the things that you suggest. This week, we're going to try something a little bit different based on some feedback we got. And we're going to try to just cover a few less topics, keep it to probably 40-ish minutes if we can. Some of the podcast guys are saying they love it, but an hour and a half might be a little bit too long. So we're going to try this out this week and see how it goes. So leave a rating or review if you get a second. All right, so the 3N Championship. Matt Wolff takes home the prize. One of the youngest guys, 9th youngest winner on tour, and the youngest since Spieth. Only 3 players have won an NCAA individual and tour title in the same year, and he adds his name to a pretty big list there, and that is Tiger, Crenshaw, and Wolff. Wow. So, pretty cool. And before we get to that crazy finish, who do you think's leading the FedEx Cup standings? Harry?
I don't really have a clue, but I know there's a couple that are in the top 10 every single week.
It's got to be Matt Kuchar, right? Yeah.
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 I was shocked. Every week we come on No Putts Given.
Not talking about Matt Kuchar.
And somehow he's
in there every week, though.
He's the leader.
He's known more for, being a cheapskate to his caddy than he is about leading the FedEx Cup right now.
Yeah, he's getting a different rap this year for sure. Yeah. Best scoring average on tour this year is your boy, Patrick Cantlay.
Hey. Didn't win a major, though.
Yeah. But back to the winner of this tournament and the finish, right? How cool is this? DeChambeau hits just a killer-ass shot into 18, right?
Yeah, it's a rope draw.
Rope draw.
It was such a sexy draw. I was like, oh, my.
And then literally, instead of the Tiger fist pump of the walk-in, he double fist pumps the walk-in.
Yeah.
And you think he's going to go in for the W, right?
At least a playoff. He was fired up after he hit that shot into the green.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, he was fired up after he stuck it to 8 feet.
I think in his mind he thought he won the tournament, right? And then Wolff comes up and hits that putt on 18 from, I think it was 26 feet. By the way, flag stick in, Tony. And and then what was the reaction that DeChambeau had when he saw that putt drop?
It looked like his mum just gave him a slap in the face. It was just like, what?
He couldn't believe it.
Big shock.
Yeah. Do we have that reaction there, Matt?
Yeah, look. That's exactly what it is. Mum just slapped him in the face for no reason.
Mom, meatloaf
in front of my friends.
Oh man, that's great.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's a good one. So,
did it go in? It went in, right?
I think that's what he's saying right there.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Or no fucking way.
Yeah. So back to Wolff and hit this crazy swing. It's got to be one of the craziest swings that has ever won on tour. And when I say crazy, just unconventional, right? So Sam actually, Gigi's Swing Tips is his swing coach, correct?
Yeah.
And you've had a lesson from Gigi, correct?
Yeah, a long time ago, actually. I think right when I first started working at mygolfspy, I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, what is your online lesson rate?" And he's like, "I think it was $150."
Okay.
So I sent him my swing front on and down the line, and within a day, he responded with a full analysis, like video analysis with a annotation, and then also drills to do. And a lot of it is, he wasn't telling me to get across the line or anything like Matt Wolff does. He kind of took my swing, put a little bit of a twist on it to make it more fundamentally sound, but also used his own principles.
What does he call that?
Matchups.
So basically he says his philosophy, Matt Wolff, swing coach. If you haven't seen Matt Wolff's swing, definitely go check it out.
It's unique.
So Gigi Swing Tips did not produce that swing. That's Matt Wolff's swing. He just matched up that to the proper fundamentals that are needed to perform a golf swing, right?
Right. So you look at him, he's got a huge rotation back, and that's a really good thing because he does get across the line. And if you're going to have an across the line swing, you have to have a lot of rotation back and a lot of rotation down. And by rotation, I mean the hips, the chest, everything's got to get way back, and then you've got to get way open to square that club up. And that's, Gigi's really cool with that because he talks about shallowing the club with your body. And a lot of swing coaches on a lot of stuff you'll see these days, and you'll watch Golf Channel, he shallows the club out so well. And what that does, that allows the club to come in at a shallow and more consistent path.
Your path stays square longer, right?
Exactly. So he's got...
Yeah. I just don't think... Whatever you want to do to get it up and down, the only thing that matters is this part right here.
But there are
from down there to there. And obviously, you want to deliver it the same way pretty much every time. To being most consistent. He's 3.5 or 3.4 degrees into out. 3.5 degrees pretty much every single time. He takes it out 15 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So he's taking it out, but he's delivering it in a way that is consistent every single time.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he wants. He uses the ground so well. He's ripping the turf up.
The video said that he had the most... the highest vertical pressure up than they'd ever seen on measured by force plate.
Mm-hmm.
The kid he's ripping the cover off the ball. But if you look at all of other Gigi's guys, Sun Kang, Padraig Harrington now, those guys are really using the ground and using their body to move the club through the hitting area, and it makes you really consistent.
I hate to use the word revolutionary or revolution in regards to things changing because it's still the golf swing, but there is something changing pretty dramatically when it comes to the golf swing over the last couple of years. And I think Gigi has a big part in that. Would you agree?
I think that Gigi's unique in the way that he doesn't try to fit every one of his players inside a box.
Correct.
You don't have you need to have this much ulnar, this much, internal rotation of your right arm and all this stuff on the way back. And he doesn't try to fit everyone to make, you can kind of tell that Gigi's had his hands on that person, but it's not like, that's a Gigi swing tips guy.
Yeah, he's taken their unique swing and molding it into a way that is going to be good.
Bigger question: do you think Gigi could match up Tony?
It cannot be done.
You don't think so? I'm calling Gigi out for a challenge right now. Gigi, if you can match up Tony's swing to something that performs better than him. That is a hell of a challenge.
Just so he can consistently hit into a spot.
We have to post. Can we post that picture one day of that close up we got at Tony at Ping?
No. Oh no.
We need to do that.
We've changed the swing since then. That's old news.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
Well, I think
I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying it's different. But that could be because that was shot on a Thursday and today's Monday.
But is the face the same when you impact? We need to find that out. Because that
facial
your
expression
facial
he makes
expression
when he hits the ball.
Impressive.
Well, Matt Wolff said something cool. Says it all works as one. I think a lot of people get really mechanical and feel like they have to be in certain places in their swings. For me, it's more of a natural movement. I don't really think of things when I swing. I just swing. And I love that. I literally love that statement because so many golfers get over the ball and have so many swing thoughts in their head, and they don't realize that we can't actually multitask. It's been proven that you can only do kind of one thing at a time. And it just degrades people's swings and they overanalyze their swing to the nth degree. It's paralysis by overanalysis. And it's great to see a guy winning on tour, especially a young guy, 20 years old, that I think might change some things. I think Gigi and him might change some things.
The cool thing about this whole Gigi movement is I think it's inspiring a lot of golfers to give less shits about what their swing looks like.
No putts given.
Exactly. They don't care as much what it looks like, and as long as it produces results, Matt Wolff is literally the shining example of that.
Yeah.
The best part of this, I think, maybe this should be a promo idea for TaylorMade, right? Matt Wolff signed with TaylorMade, comes out, wins in his third start, but that if Matt Wolff was just at the driving range down the street from you, right, and people weren't watching the ball flight, there'd be guys coming up to him once an hour, giving him swing tips, telling him what he needs to do differently.
But if
it's guy just won on tour, man.
But if you're,
it doesn't matter what it looks like.
If you're walking down the range,
what the ball does. Period.
All right. If you're walking down the range and you're not looking at anyone, you can hear how pure and how much he hits the shit out of it. Like, it's completely different to anyone else you're going to hear. Like, I was hearing it, and it sounds completely different to any other pro on tour.
Yeah, he does. I saw he created like 175 miles an hour ball speed with a 3-wood.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
more than my driver.
Well, congrats to Matt Wolff. I think there'll be more to come, and love the ballsiness of how he plays and how he swings his own swing and does
Just
his own
gonna
thing.
send it.
Yep. Send it.
Send
That's what
it,
he
baby.
actually said
Yeah.
in one of his interviews.
Yeah.
Well, what's in the bag for Matt
Send
Wolff?
it. That's a Scott Fawcett thing. Decade system.
Oh yeah.
Send it.
Hey.
Oh yeah. Strategy.
Well, what's in the bag for Wolff? Obviously, he's newly sponsored by TaylorMade, and bag full of TaylorMade stuff. A couple interesting things based on what we see from our testing is that his driver, the M5, was the best overall and best distance for 2019 driver for high swing speeds, which he is. And then his wedges, the TaylorMade Mill Grind, was the runner-up in our wedge test, our last wedge test. Pro V1 ball, Golf Pride grip, they seem to be the products of choice. Would you agree, Tony?
I mean, every week, right? Number one ball is probably the Pro V1X by a little, but it's some flavor of Pro V1, and then Golf Pride grips every week without exception. Those are probably the two most dependable stats as far as equipment use goes.
Yeah.
Golf
And
Pride
they
will be
don't-
number one.
They don't sponsor anyone, do they?
Titleist will be
They're
number one.
literally... No, not Titleist. The
Golf Pride.
Golf Pride.
I don't think they do they, Tony?
What's that? Pay?
Golf Pride.
No.
No, so
Nobody.
everyone plays them
They don't
because
need
they
to.
like them.
What's
Yeah.
the latest stat we had for them of tour usage? It's 85.
It's 80 to 85%. And it's funny. I talked to those guys. It might have been PGA show before last, just to kind of get an idea of what tour players were using or what better players were putting on their clubs. Kind of a really interesting thing, like with I guess what you would call the older generation, right? Guys that have been on tour for a while, mostly playing Tour Velvet. It's what they grew up playing. When you start to look at the younger guys, and I don't know if this is true for Matt Wolff. I don't know what he
He
has on his
plays
club.
the Z grip.
Yeah, so there's definitely a trend towards things like the Decade, the multi-compound, the Z grip, sort of more modern grips, whereas the older generation, plays what they've always played. So, something to be said for not a case of better or worse or what, just sort of, hey, what feels good in your hands, right?
Yeah. And talking about golf balls, Titleist Pro V1 was his ball of choice. Sam just switched this past week or so to the Bridgestone what?
Tour BX.
What'd you do right away?
Little hole-in-one. First hole-in-one ever. Last Tuesday.
You were so happy.
Didn't we shoot the podcast on Monday and I said we were asking your favorite product of 2019 and I said Tour BX and literally the next day I went out and made a hole-in-one. You were there.
Dude, it was impressive.
What do you always say, Sam? You put
Gorgeous
that
shot.
positive energy out into the
Yes,
world.
it comes right back to you.
Yes.
The
That
law of
could explain
attraction.
things for me.
Sam, for you guys and women that are listening to this, Sam, what do you have in your office to get that energy?
Salt rock lamp.
Yes, I mean he has that thing glowing, baby, in his
Every
face.
day.
Do you know what I
Cleans
do you know
the
what I
air.
have?
What do you have?
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Is that what you do for that?
That's my happy place.
Tony, what do you have? A punching bag?
No, I've got a dog.
You got a dog?
He just comes over, I scratch his head, it's all good.
Well, congratulations, Sam, on the hole-in-one.
Thank
you.
Can
Man.
give us a little, what was the yardage and everything in the club?
15th hole at James River Country Club, yardage 147. Little choke niner, just laser right at the pin. I can remember Harry goes,
It's always, you notice that, like that's Golf WRX old school 101, right? If the yardage doesn't align with the club, it's like I was just a little knockdown or a little chip nine.
But
like,
I hit
definitely if I'd hit it full, it would have been too much.
Well, my 9-iron probably only goes 155 stock, and I don't like to try to muscle iron, so I just hit a little knockdown 9-iron. And I remember Harry goes, "Oh, that was good tempo," and it was like right at the pin. And it just
Didn't leave the
dropped,
pin.
and then it just kind of like spun right in the hole, and we all went. I threw the club in the air. We went bonkers. I almost jumped in the damn hazard next to the hole.
Crazy.
It
But
was impressive.
It was cool. It was definitely a relieving feeling because, the other day I was just thinking about. I was like, man, I could go my whole life without having a hole in one. And
I
Do you have an albatross?
No, I don't have an
All right, but
albatross yet.
let's
You got me on
I
that
have
one.
that. I don't have a hole in one. That's
right.
all.
But
I got.
during that round, though, that wasn't the only good shot he hit. He had 2 eagles that day. He shot 65.
Sam,
Yeah. And I was just sat there in the car, just like,
what'd you shoot?
I shot 70. Couldn't make a putt. 36 putts. I had 36 putts that day.
Yeah,
One of those bad days. He had a good day.
I had 8 pars and a birdie on the front 9, and the birdie came from a chip in.
Yeah.
And then I hit it to about 6 feet on 10 for eagle, made that, and then jarred it on 15, and then almost chipped in for birdie on 16.
Yeah.
And then birdie.
Yeah, it was a
17,
good round.
or
It was
birdie
good
And then you
18.
go straight
Yeah.
from it. What's that?
You guys. I mean, I have to text him, but you know, if Chris's airfare from my member guest is refundable, I might have to bring Sam in instead.
Hey, I'm trending towards a 0, so I won't have to give many shots up.
I'm just looking for an opportunity to ride around in a cart for 3 days and not do anything, be frustrated. It's just
Well,
better
hey,
that
Chris
way.
didn't play too bad at that Corn Ferry Tour tournament, right? He played in that.
Yeah, for everybody out there that doesn't know who they're talking about, Chris Nickel is one of mygolfspy's writers. He works for us now full time, and he was just out at the tournament, the place they just played the Corn Ferry, the tour,
Yeah,
and
in
shot.
Colorado.
Yeah, he had a good round.
78.
78 or 9, yeah.
Yeah, he texted in the group chat, said, "What do you guys think?" I was like, "I'd be surprised if you break 80." I mean, especially from the way he was Instagram story, like 500-yard par 4s. Like, I don't know about
Oh,
that's
that.
there
a long way.
was 700-yard.
You guys lost me at Corn Ferry.
Well, Sam went straight from the hole-in-one to playing at Pinehurst this weekend. Sounds like he had a good time as well. So appreciate Pinehurst having us out
Yeah,
there.
thank you very much. That was a great time.
All right, next up on No Putts Given, it's called Shot of the Truth. And this week, as a part of Shot of the Truth, we have what's called Find It, Cut It. And we announced that new series we're doing last week within Shot of the Truth. And Tony, you have created a monster.
Apparently, yeah. Getting a lot of pictures of cut open golf balls last week, which is
Harry.
kind of awesome actually.
Look, Harry's a monster, everyone.
You started on me. You can't
What
see
is
it.
that? Hold on, I can't even see. Is that a Strixon?
This is an old school strata. Professional control.
All right, well, you have golfers all over the world, Tony, at this point, cutting their balls in half, which can be dangerous, as you found out. And
Use with caution.
yes.
No, cutting is relatively safe. It's the peeling where things can get a little gnarly.
Well, and this week, Tony has one hell of an eye-opener for golf consumers out there. So if you did not see on Instagram or Twitter last week, Tony posted a video of his Find It, Cut It this week. And this week he basically cut open 3 balls. And Tony, remind everybody what Find It, Cut It is and what you found.
Well, it's I guess it's big picture wise, Find It, Cut It is trying to crowdsource ball education to a degree and kind of show people what is on the inside of golf balls and encourage people to explore the inside of golf balls for themselves is the kind of the big picture view. And the simple thing, the simple idea behind it is find a golf ball on the course, in the woods, wherever that's not yours, and cut it open and see what it looks like on the inside. And maybe see if there are any issues or if we've got the rare perfect golf ball. That's kind of what we're looking for.
Well, Find It, Cut It is also this. So there's cutting open golf balls, which you can find some things on your own with the naked eye. But we have learned a lot about golf ball construction and design, and we're going to help you through the process. So we're going to not only cut open golf balls, but we're going to explain to you what you're seeing, what it means, and how it can affect your performance. And as you can hear, Tony is cutting
Cutting
open
one up right now.
another
Feeding his
golf ball.
addiction.
I literally think this is an addiction right now.
I think so.
Yeah, it's a little.
So what did you cut up in this week? And better yet, what did you find when you cut into the truth there, Tony?
Yeah, so we cut open. These are some older balls for the most part. So what's a Rife V Motion, I believe, was the model. The Monster and a Vice Pro. Boom, there you go. So these it's interesting in that all 3 of these have the same dimple pattern. So that's one kind of tell. And these were among the list of more than a dozen golf ball brands or so that was sued by Titleist several years ago in some sort of one of those patent disputes you see very often in the golf ball world. So
Yeah, there were 17 different balls from 10 different companies that was in this lawsuit.
Yeah, Matt, can you throw up the lawsuit documentation there that we have? So basically, let's back up just a little bit. When Tony first cut these balls and posted the video, people, rightfully so, were shocked, disbelief, angry,
In denial.
Little everything, right?
Little
All flavors.
everything. And that's all to be expected, right?
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of responses. And Matt, if you can throw up just a couple of the responses we got on social media. And, I asked different people in different industries, said, all right, my wife is a coach. And I said, name 3 different models of the equipment you have, right? Imagine if those things were sold at $50, $100, and $500. And someone cut them open and found out they were identical. How would you feel? And she said, shitty, that's awful, right? And there's one of the responses from Alex Moreno on Twitter, and it just says, so shady. And then we have another one from Mark Crossfield. Says the golf ball market is like the Wild West. It's so funny to see what some companies are up to. Even funnier to see the reaction of the fanboy golfers who don't like the facts. So some of the response we got to this was, well, yeah, but, how do you know they're the exact same? And, well, they performed good in your ball test, and we'll get to the performance in a little bit. But Tony, how did this all happen? I mean, the opportunity to where these smaller golf ball companies were able to compete with the big companies like the Titleists, the Srixons, the Bridgestones, the Callaways. How did this all happen? And how did we get to the point where when you're cutting up in golf balls, you're finding 3 different names, 3 different price points, 3 different balls supposedly, but when you cut them open, they're all the exact same.
Similar, right? Yeah. I think there's probably 2 things in play. First, right, the USGA is always a factor in the equipment world. We know that there are limits on what golf ball manufacturers can do, most specifically around distance. So nobody's going to come out with a ball that's significantly longer. So, the technology is evolving at a snail's pace, right? So technology that was viable a decade ago, it hasn't advanced significantly past that point. Really what you see with golf balls is adjusting the spin slope, right? So can I lower driver spin while still raising greenside spin? And can I make the cover a little thinner to make that happen? What if I increase the thickness of the casing layer? Does that give me more spin separation? So it's just, at this point, little tweaks. The materials aren't evolving significantly, right? Nike's resin went nowhere, for example. It's still synthetic rubber. That's
basically what you're saying is, in a nutshell, it hasn't evolved quick enough, which allowed old patents and designs to still be able to compete with the newer balls out there. So these factories that make these balls for these companies in this lawsuit. So pull back up that lawsuit real quick.
Well, the other thing too, the factories have legitimate R&D guys, right? So they're developing their own technology. It's just not that's the thing. Like, Titleist technology is not radically different from Bridgestones, which isn't radically different from Srixons, which isn't radically different from Foremost or Nassau or Phantom or any of the large factories in Asia. So there's more similarities than differences for sure.
There was
and on top of that, consider that the average golfer thinks he's not good enough to tell the difference anyway, right? To differentiate even a Pro V1X from a Pro V1, or a Vice Pro from a Pro V1X, or pick any 2 balls, right? They're going to be more similar than different, especially for the average golfer who mishits consistently enough where he doesn't always know what the ball is supposed to be.
Yeah, so that created the perfect storm, right? So a few different things happened. The internet, which allowed for direct to consumer, it allowed for a price differentiation. It allowed for factories to make golf balls for literally anyone. The Kirkland golf ball test, which opened people's eyes to these other brands. The direct-to-consumer golf ball test we did, which then resulted, I think, in a lawsuit, that you're looking at here, where Titleist went out and sued these companies that you're seeing right now. What are some of those companies on that list there?
So let me just name.
Monster,
let me name a few.
Lightning. I mean, basically, a lot of companies that don't exist anymore. Wilson was on that list at one point.
Have you heard KickX?
Dixon.
KickX?
KickX.
I remember that ball. It was all over the Golf Channel.
Tour Z, that was one of them. I Need the Ball, and The Ball was the name of it. That was just they're just a few, just a name.
Basically, they're, for those of you out there that were saying, well, are they the same? This lawsuit pretty much tells you they were the same. And these were
look at the conforming ball list, right? That's kind of the point I made on Twitter over the weekend, is the idea that you can just start a ball company and actually develop or engineer a ball on your own is kind of far-fetched, right? You need chemical engineers, right? It takes an actual knowledge of chemistry to make a golf ball. You need material experts who know how different materials interact together, and obviously the chemists to put them together. You need an actual aerodynamicist, because you can't just draw a dimple pattern on a napkin and go, yeah, this looks cool, I'm pretty sure that's going to work.
You can do that. You can design a putter, right? You can't just draw the aerodynamics of a ball on a napkin and send it to the foundry. Like, literally, people don't understand this. That is how so many products get designed from the non-big OEMs, meaning the clone companies, the knockoff companies, the companies like some of these popular companies you're seeing in the golf ball industry. Literally, they call a factory and say, I want to be in the golf ball business, right? You could literally know nothing about golf, nothing, and be in the golf ball business, okay?
And look, fundamentally, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're honest and upfront about it. I mean, you can be creative, but like, you have to stop short of saying, hey, we engineered this ball. And because as soon as you do that, right, as soon as you say, hey, this is my ball, I created this from scratch, I developed every piece of it, what you're doing is putting your little startup golf ball brand on the same level with Titleist and Bridgestone and Callaway and Srixon, companies where there is literally decades of R&D in the ball business, guys that have made all of the direct-to-consumer stuff possible with the patents they developed. If you say you developed a ball from scratch, essentially you put yourself on a level you're not on. And at the same time, if there are other direct-to-consumer brands who are reasonably transparent about what they do, things that say, hey, yeah, no, we have a cool ball. We didn't design it necessarily. But if you say you designed it and your competitors don't take that extra step of stretching the truth a little, you're also putting yourself above them on a level which you are.
All right, so basically what Tony's talking about is private label, right? So there's nothing inherently wrong with private labeling things. Every industry does
Every
it.
industry.
Okay.
Give me some Kirkland vodka. I'm so good with that.
I mean,
Okay.
that's the same thing. So think about it this way to make it relate a little bit more to a consumer. Golf bags, there's 5 or 6 companies that have the same bag. They're produced in the same factory. They're exactly the same bag, just have a different logo in it. Now, it's the same thing what they're doing right there with the golf ball, though.
But here, yes, correct. That is similar analogy. But my problem, we aren't saying that don't go play these golf balls. I don't care.
Not at all.
Some of them are really good.
Well, that's the
are.
thing. It's like the Vice balls.
Spec.
Yeah, the Vice balls didn't perform terribly in our ball test this year.
Good point. So a lot of people brought that up. Well, you tested these balls and they performed well. This has zero to do with performance and 100% to do with transparency. And if you're going to tell me you engineer your ball in some country or some place, or you design it, define engineering, define design. Who are your engineers? What are their names? What are they specialized in? Okay, I want to hear these things.
Show me the patents.
Show me the patents. Okay.
Tony, your face.
Good point, because this bullshit's got to stop. Where obviously some of these companies have a PR response to what Tony posted because they want to cover their ass. But at the end of the day, show me the goods. Because using the word engineer,
when you have 2 balls with exactly the same dimple pattern that predate sort of the founding of a company that says they designed the ball, like it's suspect. How about that? That's a good word.
To put this in perspective, here's a few points. There are people in the golf ball world that have so many patents because this is the level of knowledge you have to have. Literally, they have hired rocket scientists. Like when you hear it doesn't take a rocket scientist, it actually does with golf balls. Okay.
Well, yeah, because you have your aerodynamics that you need to have the lift and drag to keep the ball up in the air. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, you can't draw that on a napkin.
Exactly.
So anyway,
You can. It's just not going to be very.
It's not going to fly very far.
No.
So there is one of the guys that does patents for Titleist, correct, Tony? That is literally on the list
The head of R&D.
on the list of people with the most patents in the world, and Edison, I think, tops the list. He's ranked like
No, Edison isn't on the top of the list, but there's a dude in Japan who's on top of the list with like, I want to say it's like 4,700 patents. But basically, if you get to Thomas Edison on the list, and he's not too far down the list, and then go 6 down, it's the head of R&D at Titleist Golf Ball Division.
There you go.
6 down from Thomas Edison. So, it's almost 900 some odd patents that he has his name on. And, he's not the only one in the golf ball industry with a shit ton of patents. But the point is, within the ball industry itself, there's a really simple breakdown between businesses or at least individuals who have names on golf ball patents and those who don't. And so what my fundamentally, like, if you want to save money and get a good ball on the cheap, hey, I'm okay with that. But at least understand that there are people who actually do develop golf balls and people who buy golf balls and put logos on them. And, hey, it's information. If you don't care, that's fine.
Do
you don't have to
what
care,
you want.
just, for golfers who may not know it, just understand that this is what happens.
Yeah, and I don't know if people don't know where all these balls are being made. They're saying that they do, but they don't know the full truth behind it.
Dude, you know how long it took for us to get to the bottom of the Kirkland golf ball story?
Oh,
and
I
we
bet
were
it took
on
you
it,
days.
meaning like days. Tony, how long did it take to us to get the actual story of where every piece of that ball was made?
A couple of years.
Oh, there you go. That's a lot of days.
And these are the two
like
people that were literally asking everyone in the industry and calling the foundry. So that gets me to my next point.
And that's a unique case because we sort of got 2 different stories, and then when you put all the pieces together, it's sort of like, oh, so it turns out both stories were equally true. So it's just, that was a weird one. But yeah, it certainly took us a lot more time to track down where that ball came from or what that ball was than it would be for us to enter the ball business, ironically enough.
Yeah, which is a great point. For those of you out there, that were asking for more proof of this, and how do we know that this is true? Well, obviously we've cut them open. We are knowledgeable about golf ball design. We also have contacted the companies that make these balls when we were looking for our own golf ball for our own testing purposes for a constant variable. And what they told us was not only could they make us the Kirkland ball exactly the same that we tested, Foremost was saying that we could get pretty much the exact same balls that were being cut open by Tony. So we also know, because a lot of the people after the Kirkland test in the golf industry were contacting me personally and telling me that they wanted to get into the golf ball industry and asking for me to help them. And I first asked the same question to them all, and what do you know about golf balls? Nothing. Not a single one of them had any knowledge of golf balls, no patents on golf balls, no knowledge of how they're designed, but they saw an opportunity, right?
I was going to say, do you need to?
Nowadays, you do not. You literally...
You need a telephone or an email account.
I have one.
Yes, and if you
Off
could
you go.
even a Hotmail account could still get you a
AOL.
golf ball design.
I still have one.
No, that's the limit.
But anyway, so we found out that we could get similar balls made to the ones that we tested that were cut open. We got the price on them. The price for the Kirkland ball was pretty interesting.
Good.
It was $15, which is exactly what they sold them for a dozen. They were not making money on those balls.
15 a dozen?
Yeah, that would have been what we had to pay for it. So anyway,
put my name on it.
And lastly, if you need any more proof, we have put up the website to the company that makes these balls. And one of them is called Foremost, and they make 10 million golf balls monthly. And they make them for a lot of the companies that you're seeing out there and playing with.
They make some balls for OEMs as well. Some of the big name balls are produced by Foremost. Bits and pieces of the TaylorMade TP5, I believe this latest version, come from Foremost as well. The cores.
So, just a quick question: How do they make individual balls? Because obviously they have to finish a cycle of a certain brand of ball. Do the suppliers, say, for instance, Titleist, whoever, or whatever brand you want to say, do they supply the materials and then they just melt them down and do that, or is it all done at one place?
Yeah, the factory will run it from end to end, and they have most factories have multiple lines so they can make multiple balls at the same time. And then, when the time comes, right, clean the machines and make a different ball.
Okay.
So it is interesting. I mean, it's, could just be coincidence, but what you find out is some of the direct consumer brands we've noticed when inventory runs low, everybody seems to be out of balls. It's not just like one company runs out. It's everybody runs out, and then there's sort of this big
couple
restock.
reasons for that, that we've been told, and that is each line can only produce but so many golf balls a month. And these ball companies were getting more popular, some of these direct consumers, and they were making more per month. And their kind of allotment per month was capped out because the big guys, meaning the big OEMs that were getting their balls made at some of these places, did a couple things from what we heard. One, they put in big orders.
Right, they bought out all the line time, right?
To put these guys at the back of the line. And coincidentally, these golf ball companies also were getting more popular. So it was kind of a double whammy. And that's why you saw a lot of sold out and, limited edition stuff. And that's when you saw that Kirkland stuff too, where they would bring in, a pallet of balls and say, oh, the balls are back.
That's why it took 2 years for them to get the ball back or whatever it was.
Well, that's why we sold them out 3 times because they didn't have a literal shit ton of golf balls. They would just get chunks of them at a time, and that ball doesn't exist anymore. So anyway, if you don't believe us that you can be in the golf ball business tomorrow, the email address is right on the website right there for Foremost website. Call them, email them, and find out for yourself.
And we'll test your balls or at least cut them open.
Yep. Tony will find them and cut them. And that being said, back to the purpose of this, in my opinion, the Find It, Cut It series Tony came up with, and I love the concept because it is nothing about performance and all about transparency. And if you have a problem with transparency, don't follow us, Like, if you're literally upset and in disbelief from this to the point where you're defending these brands, it's pretty ridiculous, because...
Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
Yeah, we just, all we're trying to do is literally be transparent and tell you, the golfers, what you're spending your money on. And I think that's a great thing. And I think what Tony's doing is remarkable for the industry. And I can guarantee you this, 2-3 years from now, if we keep doing this, these golf ball companies won't be doing all this stuff that we're talking about right now. So we're trying to make this a better place, a more transparent place, a more honest place for all those involved. And Tony, what do you think? What are you cutting open next?
Whatever I find.
Yeah.
It's funny. So I was just looking around this morning, and I had never cut open a Bridgestone Tour B XS, the Tiger ball. So I just cut one open. That's what I cut open. And you see some interesting things in here, right? I don't know. I haven't looked closely at it to see if everything's centered, but you see what Bridgestone or Titleist would call a graduated core, which means even though it's a 3-piece ball, the core itself is softer in the middle and gets gradually firmer as it works to the edges. So cool little design feature as a way to sort of add the functionality of layers without actually adding more layers. So a couple companies do that as well. So it's one of those things where, just because a ball only has 3 pieces doesn't mean that it only has 3 densities.
Yeah. I mean, you got me into it, and this morning I went and found, this weekend I found some balls, and my roommate has like a whole box of old balls that he's found over the years, and I brought some in, and I cut them open, and some of them...
Wait until you see the video we're going to post later today. What is the ball?
It is the Slazenger Ballata.
Wait until you see this.
It is impressive.
There's an interesting little tidbit of ingredients in there that might surprise you.
Yes, and then we did another one, which is the Titleist Tour 90 back in the day. That was an impressive one too.
I think this one has that one.
I think it's better than Pimple Popper. It's so much better.
And the sounds that come off of this. What is that thing called that you were talking about last week that people are into?
Oh, ASMR.
Well, I think they might want to watch this video.
Yeah,
they might want to watch this. Yeah,
turn the sound way up.
All right, so for everybody out there, Tony's series is called Find It, Cut It. We're going to obviously every week be doing more of this. And what we suggest is don't go out and buy golf balls and waste your money cutting them open. Do what Tony says. Find them on the golf course, cut them open, post them
Find it, cut it. Don't buy it, cut it.
Yeah. And post them on social media for us to look at. Hashtag it, find it, cut it. We'll take a look at it, see what we can tell. We're also going to have a video series of this where we not only cut them open, but we are going to tell you exactly what we found and how that might affect performance for all of you out there when you find these things in your own golf balls, and for ways to hopefully find golf balls that don't do that when you spend your hard-earned money on it. So until next week, that is Find It, Cut It, and we'll be posting a video of the Slazenger
And many more.
in the near future. And if you haven't checked out the video that Tony posted this week of the 3 balls that we're talking about, you can check it out on Instagram or Twitter, and we posted it there. And that's that for the Shot of the Truth today. All right, next up on No Putts Given is Most Wanted Updates. What do you got, Sam?
Tomorrow we will be publishing players.
We be
playing. We're gonna be publishing the 2019 Most Wanted Players Irons test, and the results may, or at this point may not surprise you. But I can't reveal it just yet. Just stay tuned tomorrow, and then soon after that. Right now we're knee deep into hybrids and 3-woods, so expect hybrids in the next couple weeks, and the 3-woods right after that.
I'm hearing we need to get a broom, do some sweeping
Why is that?
for tomorrow's winter.
Oh yeah.
Little hint. Shh. All right, so players' irons. Just really quickly, run down the list of some of the irons in that test.
AP2, the Homa TW747V, the new JPX 919 Tours. We've got the Adele single length set in there.
Callaway Apex.
Cali Apex Pro, Cali X Forged.
Strixon.
Yeah, so all of your non-blade players irons. So we're not
Okay.
testing MBs.
So for all you ballas out there,
Yeah, but you do have a couple of new level ones, the ones that look like butter knives.
Yeah.
Close to butter knives, I would say.
new level.
New level.
For you guys out there that haven't heard of New Level, that's a newish brand that we'll be testing as well. And what do we got for soft goods, Harry?
GPSs is coming out on Thursday. I'm testing those today.
And then what do we got after that?
Speakers.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh
for
my God! No, you cannot play music on a golf course.
that. I cannot wait for this.
I cannot wait.
The most controversial, most wanted test we do all year.
You know
I
what?
can't wait to see the comments.
You know what? I might start. I've got USAM qualifying tomorrow. I might bring them all out there and do the testing at the same time. And see how annoyed they
Wait,
get.
Tony, is that against USGA rules?
Yeah, that would be against the USGA rules.
Hey,
playing
be
music.
careful.
Hey,
Be
I
careful.
can't even step foot in a golf cart without being disqualified.
Yeah, you better watch out.
Yeah.
All right, so tomorrow we got players, distance irons, most wanted. Thursday we've got GPSs, and then next week speakers. All right, so we got a little bit
Chris
of
and I are playing in the member guest at McGregor Links this week into the weekend.
cool. So Chris
Then
gets
it'll
out
be-
there and
Chris is coming out.
eats a lot of
Wednesday.
ice cream, drops some bombs.
Stay
Does
hot,
not
Tony.
handle. Chris does not handle fescue well.
Well, anyway, maybe this next feature can help. And we got a cool feature alert, and that is something from ShotScope. And maybe for you guys and girls out there that want to analyze your game, which I think we should all do. We were just actually discussing kind of Arco, ShotScope, and things like that. Which one's better? And a lot of people ask me that question. I kind of say, if you're a phone guy, Arcos. Watch guy, ShotScope. But we are definitely
very
hearing.
functional.
What's that?
They're both functional, completely. Yeah, they do similar things. And
I will
do
say this, though.
similarly well.
There seems to be more frustration lately around people, Arcos users, with sensors and just it not doing what it wants compared to ShotScope. But that being said, they both can tell you where you have weaknesses in your game, which a lot of us don't want to know or admit, but that's how you get better, right? And so a cool feature alert that I saw this week was from ShotScope, and it just kind of fits in with what we do. It's the tracking the performance of all your old putters. So basically, it will show you how well you perform from different distances and your make percentage with whatever putters that you've been using with ShotScope. So pretty cool, as you can see in this example.
Such good graphics. It's so easily recognizable too.
We need to start doing that for Most Wanted.
It's so recognizable. I can definitively say which one would correlate to my best putter right there. I think that's
So as you can see, putters do make a difference. So for everybody out there that says it's all the, Indian, not the arrow, whatever, you can see that definitively putters do make a difference. You've got a 90% make percentage from 0 to 12 feet for the Odyssey versus, 72%-ish. So that's an 18% difference.
It's interesting how the putter that does the worst at 0 to 12 feet for whoever this was did the best at 30 plus feet.
It's exactly why we test different distances in
Bada
the most
bing.
wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting, right? Just a really cool feature that I'd never seen before. A cool graphic that is really user friendly, in my opinion, that I can
Sure.
understand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the key to data is there's so many things that are collecting data right now, but it's overwhelming to the consumer. It's too much. It's just it's not put into a way that you can take away from that. And really, the key to data, in my opinion, is not capturing it. It's being able to educate and
Interpreting
empower
it,
the
yeah.
consumer
Yep.
at the other end, which is something that we are struggling with, and we're trying to get better with Most Wanted ourselves. So while that might look simple, that's well done. Kudos to ShotScope for this. And if anybody out there uses it, yeah, golf clap.
Yeah,
Tony.
let us know if you use it and
Golf ball club.
how you think you've improved, and it shows the data that you have improved.
Yeah, for sure. And next is when we're talking soft goods testing and just getting better at golf. We have been discussing a new topic, and that is CBDs. And for those that aren't familiar with CBD and what it is, you've probably seen Phil Mickelson, using something like this in the tournament.
There it is on the course, Masters.
With gum, right?
Yeah, no, that's a dropper. That's a tincture.
Down the hatch.
They got everything, man. They got lotion. They got some CBD lotion.
So for those of you out there that have, obviously marijuana has gotten a bad rap. This isn't marijuana. It's an ingredient from it. There is no psychoactive ingredient in CBD really, or less psychoactive. You don't get high. There's been not enough testing yet, but for the last 3 weeks, I've been testing it myself just to see what happens. And I've had positive results myself.
Man, they were all over the PGA show.
Yeah.
A lot of companies.
Is it FDA approved?
So it's not governed by the FDA yet.
Okay.
So which is why you see a little bit of the wild, wild west going on with it
I
right
get
now.
that. Yeah.
It's gaining popularity, and I wanted to start testing it myself just to see what it was all about, and which is funny because I got the package in, and my mom happened to be walking by when I opened the package. She's like, "Oh, I got CBD too," and I was like, "There you go."
Late to the game.
I'm late to this game. So anyway, I went to a dispensary and got what you can see on the table, which is a bunch of different forms of CBD in lozenges, gummies, lotion, tinctures, which is droppers. I don't know what everyone thinks out there. Tony, what do you think about CBD testing?
No opinion.
Zero opinion?
You found the one thing I have no opinion on.
It could help with the Lyme.
Yeah, I've got stuff for it, but if we could expedite the recovery process, right?
You wouldn't complain about that.
I mean,
No,
I think a lot of people suffer from chronic pain, and this is something that they've seen in testing that that seems to really alleviate a lot of pain.
Well, I've struggled with chronic pain for going on 15 plus years, right? I've tried anything and everything you can imagine, gone to every doctor you can think of. And, for something like this, like I said, I take the drops, and it's probably a 25 to 35% reduction, but that's more than anything else I've ever taken.
Yeah.
Do we know how long it takes to get into your system and how it gets into your system?
So it all depends, which is all
Smoking
great for
it would
buyer's
be
guide.
like instantaneous.
It's interesting that I learned that you have to. So THC and CBD goes through the salivary glands. So that's why you see the different forms. I never understood. Why would you make gummies, droppers, a joint, lozenges, right? So the gummies take about 2 hours. The lozenges, 15 to 45 minutes, I think. Joint is even faster. The drops are pretty quick.
Right.
Then there's even lotion, like for your hands or joints or anything like that.
So isn't the lotion for like it would help with inflammation and eczema? I've seen and read.
Yep. So some people have seen positive benefits that have eczema and things like that, skin conditions.
Because I know people that have a shaky hand, and because it's in your brain, and it's one of those ones where you can't stop. You don't know you're doing it.
There's been some tests on seizures and epilepsy with CBD and THC, and there's been some efficacy. I mean, there's been some benefit, at least in the studies that they've done.
Because I guarantee they would do anything to stop doing it for a certain amount of time because it gets that annoying.
I would be interested to see the kind of effect it has on, like, for instance, when I go to play a tournament competition, for a golf tournament, I'll go out and first tee, my heart is pounding. It doesn't matter if it's the club championship at my local club or a USAM qualifier or State Am qualifier. I am on the fritz the first couple of holes.
Yeah, I think it.
Should I take some of these tomorrow?
I've seen some
might
benefits. I mean, you can try them. That's why we got them out here, to first expose people to what we're talking about and to see if there was an interest in doing a buyer's guide, because there is some things you need to know, I think, if you're going to actually go out and start doing it.
Yeah.
You don't want to be just dropping stuff in your mouth without knowing what you're doing.
Right.
So if you guys and girls out there would be interested in us doing a CBD buyer's guide, let us know. And if there's enough people, we'll definitively do it for you. Also, we wanted to make a quick announcement of the winner that we have for last week's Most Wanted Challenge. And the Most Wanted Challenge was for you to go out there and find the most wanted seal out in the wild, whether it be online or at retail. And Joe Bailey found one in Dick's Sporting Goods for the Tommy Armour Impact number 3 mallet putter. And Joe Bailey is our winner this week for the Most Wanted Challenge, and we will be sending you a U.S. Open ball marker
Get on, Joe.
Hey,
and
congrats,
bag
Joe.
tag. This week, the challenge is quick, easy, and simple. Leave a rating or review for our podcast, the No Putts Given podcast, and we will pick a random person that reviewed us on either SoundCloud or iTunes as a winner for next week. So until then, think you're going to have another hole-in-one this week?
Gonna try.
You going to try?
I gotta play some golf first. Gotta stop raining out.
I've got to go try and qualify and shoot 9 under.
Hey, if
Well-
you make a hole in one, that'll get you there.
It
I'm
might.
gonna
It'll
try
get
and
you on
make
your
one.
way.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna try and make one par.
That's a good.
Low
That's a good one.
expectations.
Baby steps. Baby steps, Tony.
All right. Well,
Stay hot.
It's
You go.
Chris's job to make the pars. That's why he's coming out.
You make lots of pars, and until next week, we'll follow up and find out how Chris and Tony did in their big championship match there. We'll see you next week.